You are listening to Offensive Lines with Marlon and Boyd. Small stakes NFL gambling for the average fan.
Welcome to Offensive Lines. I'm Marlon.
I'm Boyd.
And I got my name right, so that's a good start.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always bring up a funny story before the start of a podcast.
Yeah, that makes no sense to any of the listeners.
Well, if they've listened from the beginning, they would know Marlon, in introing our podcast back in the early days, called himself my name. And we started over.
It's envy. It's envy.
But we did put it up as a blooper clip. So it's still on the website if you want to go listen for it. But that's what we were laughing about. Because he made some reference to me not having my mic plugged in and it picking up off the internal mic on my computer. And one thing leads to another, and
We were just
that
being
will
dicks.
always trump anything unless I do something more silly than that.
So, we are riding high again.
Fuck. I wish it was the regular season. 4 for 4 in the preseason when nobody gets anything right. We had our best year before was 1 right out of 8 preseason games. And we're 50% already. And we still get to pick 4 more games.
Yeah. So, just to quickly recap, last Friday, Detroit handled the punchless Raiders. I think they're going to be one of our favorite teams to follow around.
Well, the Raiders won, but we covered.
Yes.
That's that they didn't handle them. They lost, but we handled the spread. 2.5 point spread. Detroit was plus 2.5. Raiders scored a late touchdown last minute and a half, somewhere in there. And I was again watching it on what's it called? Gamecast on ESPN.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
And I was like, oh, I don't care. I did have to double check the spread though, twice, just to make sure it was going to pay out. Because I didn't want to text you and find out that, oh no, we actually lost that game. So it was good. Won that one.
That was
Friday
good.
night.
And then really, in a bit of a romp, the Baltimore pick looked great.
Yes. Dallas was down big in the third quarter. And we were both enjoying some good company and some good beverages Saturday night. So you had no idea.
Yeah, I wasn't in a situation where I could check my phone for scores.
And I only checked my phone twice. And yeah, we won. I think I sent you a text, but I knew you weren't going to answer, but I thought I'd let you know. And yeah, we're up $20 $20 in the preseason so far. So on 4 games. I want to keep it going. Okay, I've done the math. We only need to get, what I said was at the start of our preseason betting, I didn't want to have to put any more money in the account this year. That we wanted to win enough so that we never had to re-up the account. So now we've got some pressure. We need 2 out of these last 4 to stay where we're at now, cash-wise, so that we can do the first week without putting any money in. Because we started with $10, and we're up to 30, 50. And we do 3 games a week.
Yeah, so we need to break even, and we're paying a little bit of VIG, so yeah, we basically need to go 50-50 here in these last 2 weeks. And you will find out a little later how we're going to go with that. I was also going to point out one of the games you wanted to also bet last week, Denver over San Francisco. You would have crushed that one as well.
Yeah, I didn't see what happened in the Kansas City game. Do you know?
No, I don't. Again,
okay.
Like my weekend was, weddings, friends from 20 years back, all of that. I'm pretty far behind in even seeing what happened in most of this stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to look it up. They were behind early, and that was all I saw. And we hadn't bet on it, so I didn't really think about it much. But
well, I did actually. I was reading on the couch today, and I had the Denver San Fran game on was on NFL Network, And so I had that on. I think the Niners, I mean, I know preseason doesn't matter. They may have a few more problems than they realize. Kaepernick, this is his year to put the team on his back and make it happen. Because it feels like overall they're not the team we've been seeing for the last 3 years.
Well, how many guys are they playing though? I haven't watched.
Oh, I know, and it's hard to judge, but you know, in recent years, their backups have looked better than most teams. It doesn't feel the same way. Listless, sloppy, just sloppy, which is not what we've come to expect from the Niners under Harbaugh. So, something to keep an eye on, maybe.
Oh, I don't know if they're not showing anything. Like, I know we're winning games in this and picking right, but to me, like, with Baltimore, what they're doing in the preseason, I think, is more a function of what they did last year in the regular season. Trying to set a tone, but...
Yeah, but Harbaugh is over 500 in preseason games, and usually the philosophy of the coach, if they care about winning them, it's reflected in the record. And
that's true.
They've scored 3 points in 2 games this preseason. So,
well, that could just mean they're thin depth.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, don't worry. I'm not ready to write off the Niners. That would just be churlish. But you know, actually watching on tape, it didn't feel right to me. I expect very little out of preseason games, and I got less from the Niners, which was sort of what you said last week when you were advocating Denver. If they're just mailing it in. You know, we don't know the reasons, but
they might just be. They might know they're thin and trying to stay healthy.
Which, okay, that actually brings us to the next thing. Watched another episode of Hard Knocks. Worst moment of the show was Sam Baker, the left tackle, blowing out his knee.
And it didn't even look bad. Like, yeah, it looked like he might have hyperextended it or hurt it a little bit, but it didn't look like something where you see some guys get a helmet on the side of the knee and it bend in ways it shouldn't bend. And they come up to him after and says, yeah, it looks like your patella tendon's gone.
Well, from the way they cut it there too, when he required that much help off the field.
Yeah.
That's when I started to think, oh, this is really bad news. Plus, I kind of knew from just
I'd heard
news feeds that it was that bad.
Yeah.
But, you know, his question when he was laying on the trainer's table is just going, yeah, but if I tore my ACL, wouldn't I know that?
Yeah.
And that's an interesting thing. I've read quite a few players who've talked about blowing an ACL, and all they hear is a click. And there's no pain. They just can't support themselves on that leg anymore. But at the time of injury, I've read quite a few players say this, there was no pain at all.
Well, Baker said, I went to plant and it didn't plant. And it's like, that has got to be the worst feeling in the world. You step your leg back. He was backpedaling with a guy rushing, and he stepped back with his right leg, and it just kind of buckled. It was weird. He was kind of falling off balance, and he went to plant that right foot, and it just gave way. So that's when it snapped. He just lost all strength in his leg, and when I went to plant, it didn't plant. He planted. It just snapped when he planted, and he had no feeling, and on the ground. And it was like, oh, man. And then the other thing he said on the training table that he goes, oh, I hope my wife wasn't watching. And it's like, oh, you forget about watching the show. You forget about, because they're competing and beating each other up, and you forget about the family side of it off the field, because this episode they showed none of that, except for the one guy holding his kid after practice, a newborn kid.
Oh, and that was coming up next week, wasn't it? Yeah, that wasn't even part of the body of the show this week at all.
So it's like they showed no external shots this week.
And I don't mind that at all, by the way.
No, I'm not complaining.
I would much rather watch Roddy White, Julio Jones, and Harry Douglas go bowling.
Or try to catch a dollar bill between their fingers.
Yeah.
Or Matt Ryan telling a joke.
It was a good joke, too.
I'm not going to try retelling it here.
No, take too long. But a good punchline joke. Racy enough, but still something you could tell in mixed company very, very comfortably. It was a good joke.
And my wife, when I told her the joke, because she wasn't watching it with me, she burst out laughing like I did when I heard it. I stopped watching it right away because I had to watch it on my laptop because of, for some reason, my scavenging skills weren't what they used to be, and I didn't get it till tonight. So I missed my usual viewing party Tuesday night at midnight, but they could have played it on CBS. If Hard Knocks was on like broadcast cable, they could have played it.
Oh yeah.
Some people would have complained, but it's not too racy. But if you could, it should be up on YouTube somewhere, something. Somebody should have cut a clip of that and put it up because it's fantastic. Even Vine. That's what I should do. 6 seconds at a time.
Another good episode of Hard Knocks. I mean, watching the games or watching Hard Knocks or whatever, I think we just hate seeing people get injured. I mean, we can detest them on every level as players. They're playing against our team or whatever. I think it's a big part of our philosophy that we don't like seeing people get hurt.
No.
It's never part of the charm for the game for either of us.
Well, no, and it's taking good players off the field. And you always want to see the best guys playing.
Yeah.
But they're always the guys that get hurt because they're out there playing. And it's inevitable. Every team's going to have it. I just got my fingers crossed my brittle-boned quarterback makes it through the year this year.
He hasn't yet, so...
fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. A little animal sacrifice might not hurt things.
I'll just do what Serrano did in Major League. I'll just get a bucket of KFC. For week 1.
But, I mean, if you're not watching Hard Knocks yet, go scavenge, find it, watch it. I suspect, most people are watching it who are into football. But it is just so good, and I love the access. Brian Cox continued to be a standout star.
Yeah.
Though the picture he showed of his daughter... look, Brian, don't come and kill me for this, but she looked a little bit like a streetwalker.
Yeah, and he's telling the players because one of the players hooked up or was interacting with her on Instagram or something, and he was like, "Don't mess with my daughters. I've got 4 of them." Oh, it's their life, coach. Fuck that. You don't mess with my daughters. Well, yeah, because he knows what a pig he was.
Oh, exactly. But he's awesome. Just to watch how he relates to the players. I mean, they were riding his ass, and I love that sort of. Even though he's got the power in this, there's a comfort level that he's obviously created with his group that he can. He doesn't mind being the butt of the joke on occasion when everyone's laughing. Really comfortable, and I enjoyed seeing that.
Oh, I liked the story when him and offensive line coach Mike Tice were talking. Oh, yeah, I brought some cigars. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I was walking around the hotel last night smoking one. Yeah, Tice is like, yeah, I did too, but the low-hanging branch. I was texting, and I wasn't looking up, and I ran into this branch.
I thought I got jumped.
Yeah. And then he's like, yeah, I walk a little further and I feel some stuff trickling down my face and I'm bleeding. Fuck, he must have been in a slow jog, or it was one big fucking branch. Because if you're just a normal gait, and when you're texting, how fast are you walking?
Yeah. But,
know.
At the end, he just finally said, I bet you I wouldn't have run into the branch if I was drinking. But, I mean, nothing's designed for guys who are as big as Mike Tice.
No.
He's a giant of a man, and everyone seems to kind of forget that, they just think of him as coach of Minnesota. He was a really good offensive lineman and a big, big, big man.
Well, and I can't... Okay, here's another thing. This bugged me in the episode. Is Bruce Matthews' kid was a first-round draft pick of Atlanta. He's going to take Sam Baker's spot at left tackle now, Jake Matthews. Bruce Matthews was the offensive line coach in Tennessee last year. He's obviously tutored his son extensively about the position. Now, either we had dumb offensive linemen or he's just not a good coach. But that doesn't compute to me when his kid's that good. Like, all these guys that had athletic fathers, if they have similar ability, they're usually good. Like Ken Griffey Jr., Ken Griffey Sr.
But on a certain level, maybe as a parent, and neither of us have kids, you don't want to be interfering with the coach they have.
I have a son. Stepson, but I have a son.
Okay.
Was I scaring you there?
Yeah, I thought.
Oh, yeah, did you what?
I thought I knew you. It's like, Jesus, I just made the greatest faux pas ever. But, I mean, it's possible that, you put your kid in the situation and you let their coach do their job without interfering as a Hall of Famer.
There's no way, if I had a kid playing the same position as me, that I had a Hall of Fame career in, and I had probably some of the best coaching available at the time, and technique-wise, that you wouldn't show them what... And, it's not so much in-game stuff, it's the training you do away from the field, where it's the most invaluable. The mental side, the conditioning, that type of thing gives them a huge edge. Because when you're playing in the pros, you have the latest techniques and fitness regimens and strength training ideas and techniques and everything to give you the edge. So if you can pass that on to a kid that's 14 with some ability, they're going to stand out. And when they get to this level now, his input's only going to be more valuable. And I know some guys that were great players aren't great teachers, and that's all I can think of.
Yeah, great teacher, or perhaps not a great motivator.
No, just not a great teacher. He knows what to do, but he can't get that across to other people.
Though that said, I thought your offensive line wasn't terrible last year. I mean, their numbers didn't look good, but they were just in an impossible situation.
Yeah, well, and we had another Hall of Famer. Fucking Munchak. He's the offensive line coach in Pittsburgh now. But, oh well. That's one thing that bugged me from Hard Knocks. I'm like, how's your kid first round pick and you couldn't get that offensive line? They look good for series and then look like shit. But
yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, but there was also a running back who was complaining, that no matter what they did, they weren't blocking properly for him. So I think the whole team was fairly dysfunctional last year in Tennessee.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, one more thing about the Baker. It was strange. I'd brought up about 10 minutes before they showed his injury, and I just said, I really like this strategy of, even though you expect Matthews to move to left tackle, you put him at right tackle for a couple of years. Let him get used to the speed of the game, all of the routines, preparation, practice, and then you move him to left tackle when Baker retires, or you let him go. And it's going to be very interesting to see him function at left tackle as a rookie. It's a hard position.
I think he'll handle himself well. You look at it, the clips they were showing of him going against J.J. Watt, and in the first few, Watt was just running through him. By the end of it, he'd kind of figured out what he needed to do already to handle him a little better. That means more to me than rookie, not rookie. When you can pick up that fast on what the guy's trying, like one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, he's going to be all right at left tackle.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. I hadn't really thought of it that way. But, yeah, I'm remembering those clips with J.J. Watt, and you're exactly right. I hadn't really interpreted them that way, but...
He picked up really quick. And did you see what Tice was? Tice said like right hand. There was like one thing he wasn't doing right. Just work on that right hand. So it's like, okay. And then by the end, he seemed to have it figured out. And you're always going to get, as an offensive lineman, nobody's perfect.
No.
You're going to get beats, you're going to get holding, you're going to get this and that. But if you keep your quarterback clean, you're doing your job.
Yep.
So.
Well, and he'd better do well because one thing, Atlanta is really thin at both lines in terms of backups.
And losing backup Baker, quarterbacks.
Holy Christ. Yates in his homecoming to Houston. That was hilarious, but that was just plain hilarious.
Thinking too much.
And they were trying to give him an out, just going, he's only had 8 weeks to study the playbooks. Come on, I don't buy that as an excuse. There have been QBs who've had 4 coordinators in 4 years. Every year, they seem to manage to learn the playbook. I don't really buy that as a valid excuse. He's only had 8 weeks to prepare.
Well, I did like the clips of them showing him working on it in the film room, though.
Oh, I really enjoyed those clips, but I don't think it's a valid excuse. I just think what we thought a couple of years ago. He's just not very good.
He knew the play that was called, knew where the ball was supposed to go, and locked in on it. That's why he got picked off.
Well, there was that, but there was also a point where the offensive coordinator was in the booth and just yelled out, "What the hell did he just say?" He didn't even get the communication in and call the right play. So, yeah. I think the only thing that keeps him on this team is he was traded for. And we know how no one likes to admit they're wrong.
Yeah, but if he's... I don't know what he's making salary-wise, but for a third stringer, they usually like to keep a young guy with potential. If he doesn't win the backup job, they're not keeping him.
You don't trade for a third stringer if he doesn't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If he doesn't make backup, they're cutting him.
Yeah, we'll see how cold they are, but, I mean, this is something you pointed out to me a long time ago. People hate to admit they're wrong.
Yeah, but on something like this, it was probably some scrub, or I don't even know who they traded. It might have even been a late-round draft pick.
Who knows? You're still giving up an asset, so you thought you had something there. But, yeah, what did he throw? 2 picks.
1 pick 6.
And on that pick 6, they had him on ISO cam, and he threw the ball, and it's just, oh, fuck, come on!
Yeah, it was good. It was a good episode again. They introduced one new story about a undrafted wide receiver from Amsterdam. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name.
Just call him his nickname, Amsterdam. I made that decision even watching it.
That's where he grew up. And
speaks 4 languages.
Yeah. And they had him talking Dutch to some guy on the cell phone. And he's just like, yeah, the ball comes out a lot faster in the NFL.
My favorite part of that conversation was when he was talking about J.J. Watt, and he's going, J.J. Watt, it's really big. And his father on the other side of the line says, well, that's obvious. And the guy just, no, shit. Like, until you actually see him, you have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. All in all, another good episode. Only 2 left, unfortunately. That's the worst part of it. They only do 5 episodes.
Well, that's all they can do.
No, I know, but I wish
sure...
they had like a recap show done by HBO for the week. Like focus on a couple of games. Just the games even. Just shoot the games. Like NFL Films could do this stuff. But they have nowhere to put it because it'd be beep, 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 beep. And they don't want to show you what's going on during the game unless it's highly edited. Because then they'd have a whole other issue on their hands with all the
there would be no allowing. What I see as the next extension is that they'll start doing it with 2 teams each season. So you get your 10 episodes out of it. I'm not certain that'll work, but I see that as the likely expansion of it.
Yeah, but that's not HBO's game. They never overrun something. All their television series, 12 episodes, 13 episodes, 10 episodes, 8 episodes. They built the model that AMC and all these other channels are following now and being successful with. I don't think they go for 10. It would almost be like doubling the NFL season. It would kind of devalue it. I wish there was more, but I think we'd lose the allure of it.
Yeah.
Is that okay? I only get to watch it for 5 weeks. I'm watching all 5 episodes. This gets me primed for the season. You get to follow a team I would never follow, and I start liking guys I'd probably never like.
Well, yeah, Amsterdam. I'm already cheering for him to make the squad.
And like Matt Ryan in the locker room after.
Matt Ryan impressed me a lot in this episode.
I don't care what the fuck you need to do. Take care of it and be ready to work on Monday.
Oh, and when Amsterdam misran a route, Matt Ryan was just in his face. He's going, this is the only thing you have to care about on this play. Just do that. Like, turn and look at me when you get it. Turn and look at me early when you see it. That's all you have to do, and we'll have no problems.
And tapped him on the helmet. And
yeah.
Away he went. No, and I know you can't get a true sense of the team just in these bits and bytes, but it's really cool to get insight into the team, because the last part in the locker room wasn't that. You can't, if that's not in your character, you're not going to do it just because the camera's there.
Yeah, or you do it and it comes off so wildly insincere and fake. Yeah. Really. And you could see it on the reaction of the places. They actually listen to him. What he says is important to the people in the locker room. He has their respect.
Yeah.
And, well, let's try to earn some more of our respect.
Okay, I want to bring up one quick little thing about a team I just truly love. The Pittsburgh Steelers and that mystique of the Steeler way and all this fucking bullshit. When they draft guys like Santonio Holmes and Plaxico Burress and all this other garbage. They had 2 of their running backs picked up for marijuana possession. Not that I give a fuck if anybody smokes it.
Yeah.
It just looks great on the Steelers.
It really does, especially because it was this afternoon.
Yeah. So, fantasy people, Le'Veon Bell and LeGarrette Blount might be facing suspensions of at least a game for this, I would think.
First offense, both, and actually this was proven that on the first offense, no suspensions are ever handed out by the league until it winds its way through the legal process. But in the past, the Steelers have taken it upon themselves to suspend. I don't think they're suspending their whole backfield for the Week 1 opener. You?
No. Well,
let's see if they walk it like they talk it.
Yeah, they've done it in the past.
Yep.
They benched Santonio Holmes, and they said they were going to bench Roethlisberger if the league didn't.
We'll see.
We'll see, but I just love it. Now watch the Titans or something. There'll be Jake Locker will get pulled over with a 15-year-old girl in his car or something. tomorrow.
yeah, let's go a bunch of steps below marijuana, which we both agree we don't give a shit about.
No. I just found it funny. My wife's like, "Oh, did you hear about the two Steelers?" Like when my wife's telling me about football, and I haven't. She's like, "Have you heard this yet? Two Steelers? What?" Oh, I said, "Oh, it's just marijuana," but I had chuckled.
Yes, I enjoyed it myself. Okay.
The now teams, I like it.
And speaking of Pittsburgh, they play Thursday night. They are plus 3.5 at Philly. Any interest in this one?
It wasn't one of the ones I'd looked at, really, but I can be convinced.
No, I don't feel that strongly. I actually do like Pittsburgh in this, mainly Tomlin's record. Now, one thing I do want to say right now, these are the Week 3 preseason games. This is the closest we're going to get to real football. The starters are going to put in at least a half. In many cases, up to 3/4 of action. So these are closer to real games, and thus we have to consider the quality of the teams a little more than we have in the first couple of weeks, where we were mainly looking at coaching philosophy. Tomlin does have a stellar preseason record and a great preseason record in these Week 3 games at 5-2, but I still don't like this game.
No, I'd be pushing for Philly in this game anyway.
Okay.
I don't care what Tomlin's record is. Philly at home against Pittsburgh, in-state rival. Philly's going to be, I think, one of the top teams in the NFC this year. And Pittsburgh's not going to make the playoffs, so...
Yeah, I agree with both of those statements. The Friday games, and the spreads are a lot bigger this week as well.
It's brutal.
Yeah. These are spreads like regular season spreads. Again, instead of just everything being between 1 and 2.5, we're looking at some games with a touchdown spread.
Which is ridiculous when you're putting the backups in quarter 3 and 4.
Yeah. But the only Friday game, and, if you have anything you like more, that it all intrigues me is Green Bay -7 with Oakland coming to town.
Nah, I don't. The 7's too much in the preseason.
Yeah, I don't want to lay 7 in the preseason much. I was amused by Giants at Jets being a pick'em game, and both of these coaches are within a game of 500 in their preseason careers. This is an absolute pick'em game on almost every level.
Yeah, I don't.
And they're both terrible.
If you were really set on that game, I would say the Jets. Giants look awful.
I would too, but I want to stay away from it. I just thought it was so amusing that it's a pick'em game, and Coughlin is 22-21 in the preseason in his career. Rex Ryan is 11-11.
The only game I looked at with some intrigue with a big spread was the Seahawks-Bears. The Seahawks -7 at home. Because they destroyed San Diego last week, and I'm not saying that just because you're a Charger. They destroyed them.
Oh, yeah, that score should have been higher. Like, they had a 106-yard pick six that was called back on absolute twaddle. Like, there was no penalty on that play. So that, yeah, but Chicago's a good team too, so...
Yeah, I'm not fighting for that one, but I'm just saying that was the one big spread that I thought, okay, I could see that one. But I think I know where we should go on Saturday.
I know one game, but tell me first.
Well, you know which one it is.
I don't necessarily.
Yeah, you do. Miami -3.5 over Dallas. I'm riding that worst defense in football philosophy you threw out last week when Baltimore put up 37 on them in Dallas.
After about 2.5 quarters.
Yeah. So I'm thinking we ride Miami in this one. Keep taking Dallas till they prove us wrong defensively.
Yep. And it really is. Again, I watched very little of this. I'll catch up in the next couple of days, depending on what NFL Network runs. But from when I watched Dallas before, seriously, I don't think I've ever seen a worse defense in my life. Nothing even comes close to how inept they've looked in what I've seen of them.
Yeah.
And it's not like Baltimore is an offensive powerhouse. So, speaking of Baltimore, like I like your game actually more than mine. I was thinking also we continue to ride Harbaugh in Baltimore.
I was looking at that one too.
You know what? I think your game is better, and it wasn't my first pick either, the Baltimore game. What I really like is New Orleans plus 2.5 at Indy.
See, when I was looking at that game from the Indy side when I was thinking about these for one reason only. And I know New Orleans put up big points against Tennessee the week before, but I don't know how much Breeze is going to play.
Well,
and I know it might not matter.
Indy's defense isn't good.
No.
You know, how they won that playoff game against KC is startling. Sean Payton is also 7-1 in week 3 games.
Done.
Okay.
All I needed to hear when we're getting 2.5.
Yeah. It's the underdog that really added that extra value to me.
Okay, so we have New Orleans plus 2.5 at Indianapolis. $5 pays $9.54. Booked. Now,
and I like your Miami thing. But do you have anything else up your sleeve?
I had one other one that I didn't mind. Arizona -2 at home Monday night over Cincinnati. After Cincinnati just got beat at home by the Jets the week before, Arizona has probably the second best home field advantage in football. Only question mark I have is Darnell Dockett tore his ACL a week after coming into camp. So their defense might take a hit, but with all these big spreads that are out there, like Denver's -7 over Houston, and everything's that half point, 3.5,
yeah,
7, 3.5. There's a lot of 3.5s or 3s. So I love that New Orleans pick and the Peyton's record. He goes out for the win, and Graham played 2 quarters last week, so he's going to play his starters. It was just Breeze was my only question mark, but
yeah, but New Orleans is still really good. Yeah. No, we're booked on that one. I like this Arizona quite a bit as well. I was just watching the replay of the Minnesota-Arizona game. That offense for Arizona is starting to click. I don't think it's just defense in Arizona anymore. Fitzgerald looked younger than I'd seen him look in years. He was leaping for balls and grabbing them. It's an interesting team with an interesting attitude. I think the only question is do we like it more than Miami or
No, I can't. You can't not bet against Dallas.
Okay.
Even though we picked them to win the East again this year as our ironic bet.
Yes.
That was more of a hipster bet than anything.
No, fair enough, though. I think that's an excellent call, though, too, in Arizona. Now, mind you, neither one of these coaches has shown much in week 3 games, so that doesn't really influence things. Garrett is a shocking 3-0 in week 3 games versus 0-2 for Philbin, but
fuck.
But I mean, this will be interesting. Let's see how good the Miami defense is.
Well, you know what though? You know what I like is that it's only 2.
The zona game.
Yes.
You know, I kind of prefer the Zona because Dallas can score. I mean...
Well, I got the scores up here. Let me see what Miami did last week.
And Philbin is a sterling 3-8 career in preseason.
They won 20-14 over the Bucks. Not impressive. Let me see. They're 1-1. I want to see what they did in week 1. Just before I throw it away, 20 points against Tampa isn't great. Come on. They lost 16-10 to the Falcons. Yeah, let's go fucking Arizona.
I kind of prefer it, to be honest.
Let me see what they did quickly in week 1. 32-0 over Houston at home. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, like, just when I was watching the Minnesota, you know, some teams seem ready to go at the jump.
Yep.
There is an attitude in Arizona that I really like. You know, even when it was the backups on, I just saw effort. So I like the Zona pick. I think I prefer that.
Okay, so we have Arizona -2 at home over Cincinnati. $5 again pays $9.54. And that is booked. Oh, let's keep it going, buddy. 6 for 6.
That's the dream. That's the dream.
So, what was Bill Simmons wanted to go? How many games did he have? 11-0 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Was it against the spread? I'm hoping to go 8-0 in the preseason against the spread. That would be a more impressive feat.
Oh, it would be. It would involve more luck. But
no, we have reasoning behind it.
We have reasoning,
it's
but
not like let's just pick a name out of a hat and pick it.
No, and we're adjusting to it after years of failure.
Yeah. Now we're just gonna get fucking boot stomped this week.
It's possible, but I actually really like our picks. And I don't think Miami was a bad pick either. I'm more comfortable with Zona. Yeah, I just think Zona is a much better team than Miami. I'd rather put money behind.
Good teams, yeah.
Yeah.
And the records of the coaches don't hurt either.
No.
When you told me Philbin's, it was like, oh, fuck. And then Garrett's, it's like, oh. And I didn't like Philbin from Hard Knocks.
No, you always hated that guy.
He seems like a coordinator, is what he seems to me. Didn't have the authority of a head coach.
Well, and the entire offensive line debacle from last year only supported that theory.
Yeah.
So, you know, how can you be that out of touch with what's going on in your own organization? I mean, that's not going to happen to Sean Payton, for example.
No.
Though there may be bounties, but I think he was, you know, that was a nod and a wink system, but I don't think he was unaware of it.
No. Well,
Whereas Philbin, I completely believe, had no clue what was going on.
No, I think he had a clue. He just couldn't stop it. He wouldn't stand up to it. And if the stories are true with Incognito, that they encouraged him to toughen up this kid, then it's he knew, he obviously had to have known.
Yeah.
But whatever, that's old news.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I think that's it for this week.
Yeah, if you want to keep making money, keep following our preseason picks.
We are the kings of August.
Yeah. Yeah, call us Mr. Augusts. Mr. Augusts. All right, if you want to check out the podcast, it's on iTunes or Stitcher for your Android device. You can listen to it on our website, offensivelines.ca. Follow us on Twitter @OffensiveLines for any updates to the website or when a new podcast is available. Or on our personal Twitter accounts @OLinesMarlon or @OLinesBoyd. Facebook.com/OffensiveLines. And if you want to contact us, it's offensivelines@shaw.ca. I'm Boyd.
I'm Marlon. And that was offensive lines for preseason week 3.
Hey, did I tell you guys? I started early. I lost my virginity at 10.
Degenerate fucking gambler.